Hey, you guys. Hope all is well with you. I'm just coming by here let me stop saying that. Quickly, shortly. Let me stop saying that. So, of course, you guys, I want to come by here and want to discuss some things because, I felt like it. Let's start with this first. So, of course, shout out to you guys once again for those who, always, reach out to me questions about products and services, all the good stuff. Right now, currently, we have until 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and no, you do not have to pay for the reading today, or you have to get the reading book today, but the offer is available today. Where we're doing 30 minutes of readings and or we're doing a consultation for $88. Like I said, it was yesterday and it is today, but it ends at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So of course, if you're interested in that, definitely let me know. What else? For those who got the angel reading, which I've not put it out there yet, angelic reading, we will be posting that by Friday for the general public. For those of you who signed up for the angel atonement class, you did hear a discussion about the angelic angel reading sessions that we're going to be doing. So you're going to kind of be the first. You will be the first one to get, to be able to have access to that. So, of course, 2 people sent over their money to do an angel reading. And like I said, I will be reaching out to you guys. If you have not sent me over your birthday, of course, your initials, your birth date, then I will get back to you. Of course, I will explain the process of the angelic reading, which will be a video. Okay, I'll be doing the angel reading for you in a video. It will be sent via the email, but it will be done in a video. Okay. Like I said, it's personalized to you, your information, your angels, etc., etc. And so either way, something that I wanted to really come by here and talk about that's really been not bothering me, but it's come across my desk and it's been brought to my attention. And y'all, one thing I do not like is people who, if I had to pick between types of thieves or types of scammers, right? I would rather you I don't like liars. I don't like scammers all the way around. So it's hard to say this, but because, like I said, I was, imposed with this question, I would rather accept when it comes to, stealing, because no thief is better than the next thief. I would prefer someone to cheat or lie or scam and tell people that this product will help them, get their family, whatever. Make up a lie about a product or services that will better someone's life without giving them full tea. I'd rather that type of lie and that type of scam than doing like a credit card fraud or a bank, fraud or some shit like that affects everybody in the long run. But I still don't like any type of thief or any type of motherfucking lie. So when a lie, a thief, a scammer, anybody come across my motherfucking desk, it boils my motherfucking blood, especially people who are claiming to be spiritually inclined, because I'm just like, you're selling out for what? What are you selling out for? If the spiritual money is slow for you, girl, get a job. If you're not getting your bookings, if you're not seeing clients, if you're not getting what you need, get a job. But you're creating a spiritual debt. And you may not believe it because right now you're in the spirit and there's a program that's in place for you. So you're like, bitch, ain't no such thing as a karma. Ain't no such thing as a spiritual debt. Bitch, we're on this planet. We got free range. We do what we want. And it's so crazy that no religious, no spiritual structure says that. The crazy thing about it is that no religion, no things that's ever been set up to create boundaries and create some type of disciplinary action says that you can do what you want, however you want, and there's no consequence to your repercussions. So it really boggles my brain. It boggles my heart when I see people who, and especially when I see people and I'm like, oh, this is a good person, because you don't see them caught up in drama. You don't see them do things, but then you hear something come out their mouth. You're like, girl, I keep pushing ancestor veneration because you guys, it's so important. A lot of you have problems with your money. You have problems with your health. You got problems with your relationships. You got problems with a lot of things in life because your bloodline is fucked up. And I hate to be direct with it. I hate to just, come out and say it, but that's what it is. A lot of you have trauma that is stored within your psyche that you're not even aware of because you are a descendant, because you are your father's son or your mother's daughter. You have all their trauma within your body, within your cells. And this is why we preach about eating right and we preach about fasting and praying because people don't understand that process. They don't understand why you fast and pray. That's not a Christian thing, that's a spiritual thing. And so the idea that you're telling people that ancestor money, which is Josh paper, being burnt will supply them what they need on the other side. So that way you could be supplied with your needs on this side is a lie. It's a scam. And if you're spiritually inclined like you claim you are, you know it's a scam. You know it's a lie. You know that you're scamming and lying and selling out for what? Like you said, your ancestors. You're selling your ancestors out because you're projecting your reality onto other people. So you're selling your ancestors out for a quick, what, $50, $60? You're hoping that your ancestor money sells out for 2,000. I mean, like, what is the end goal? What is the end game? Let's even take it back a little bit like this, because I just told one of my people, because they asked, they said, I took your ancestor class, veneration class. They took two of them, actually, because I did ancestor veneration 3 times. But they took 2 of them. And they said, I want a more in-depth, a more in-depth personalized class. And of course I'm like, I could do that, but I'm like, I feel like I want to do it in multiple parts, like maybe 2 parts for sure. And of course there's going to be maybe even 3 parts, maybe like a video, explaining the tea, a personalized video going into some stuff. And then of course we talk on the phone and we kind of see where your head space and your heart space is at. And so the idea, y'all, that, and this is what really I think bothers me out of all this, is that you have Black people who are like pro-African. And although in history there are Africans, there's a good connection or great connection between Africans and Asia. Okay, there's a great significant relation there, right? Like girl kinship when it comes to chromosomes and certain DNA. Can we talk about it? And so we understand that. But the people that come out and they do stuff like this, they're not talking about the dynasties. They're not giving you guys ideas about, their love for the Chinese culture, or they're not even giving you references to how the African and the Chinese culture intermingle. But when it comes to ancestor veneration, the Africans and the Native Americans did not venerate their ancestors like the Chinese did. They did not burn Josh paper. That's a Chinese thing. That's a Taoist Buddhist thing, to be exact. That's not an African thing. That's not a native indigenous to the Americas thing. Okay, that's not even a European thing. So I don't know where these pro-Black, dashiki wearing, concha shell, dreadlock having, or lock having African spiritualists get this shit at. But like I say, it irritates me to my soul, because if you're really connected with your spirits and you're really connected to God and Spirit told you, and you're an intuitive individual, the Spirit would have told you, cut the bullshit. Spirit would have said, wake the fuck up, hoe. Your daughter's a hoe. No, but I got that for somebody. I can't do that. Anyway, y'all ain't gonna get it. Y'all know, y'all don't know, y'all don't know. But anyway, I'm just like, girl, Spirit would have said, wake the fuck up. Like, girl, what's going on? And so the Josh paper, y'all, like I said, the ancestor money, I saw something about someone selling ancestor money, like I said, and giving the message out there, right? They're creating a spiritual debt for themselves and their children. I don't know if they have kids, but they're creating a spiritual debt for themselves and their children. And they're telling people, you're going to buy this ancestor money. You're going to burn this ancestor money. It's going to give them the money on the other side. The currency is going to be on that side, and it's going to clear out their day. And then that way they can help you. First of all, baby, ancestor veneration is a spiritual thing. There is something called a spiritual debt. Okay. There's a spiritual debt that we all owe, by the way. We all owe it. When you do sins or you create errors in your ways consciously, you feed onto that debt. Okay? Can we talk about it? Or is that a little too deep? Because I feel like some of the conversation we have, it be going over people's head and shit, because they really don't give a fuck. And if you don't care, I don't care. But I'm still going to talk about it, by the way. And so either way, the spiritual debt is what you want to clear up. And the spiritual debt is only cleared up when you heal things within yourself or within your bloodline. Like start with speaking about secrets. Start with clearing out secrets, things that you've heard, things that you've known, and taking it to the motherfucking crossroads. Burning Josh paper is not going to solve your problems. Anybody who's ever stated that, anybody who's saying that after knowing the fact, not coming back and rebuttaling it and saying, yes, I burned some ancestors money, now my debt has been cleared up, or hey, that's not it. Y'all have to also put in the work to do other things. Like I said, they're liars, they're scammers, they're frauds, they're charlatans. And I stand on what I stand on. Honey, sue me, bite me. I said what I said. The spiritual debt has to be cleared, and the spiritual debt is only cleared through communication. The spiritual debt is only cleared through conversation, through offering things to them to build them up. See, we don't feed our ancestors just because they're hungry. Because in layman's terms, baby, they're gone. They're asleep. They're gone. They're in eternal rest. Let the layman's tell it. They're in eternal rest. There's a frequency there. We feed our ancestors because food offer a healing to us on multiple levels, by the way. Food offers healing on a physical, on a spiritual, and an emotional level. So this is why we give our ancestors food and we give them water. And it's not because they were really hungry and they have to eat it. Oh my God, I want some cheesecake, make me some cheesecake, blah, blah, blah. No, like I said, it's symbolic. It represents a healing. It represents abundance. It represents protection. Because we know that even throughout history, the food, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody's family, but the food is what brought people together. Going to grandma's house, going to Nana's house, going to Papa's house, going to Papa's house. Girl, on a Sunday, girl, we eating and we chilling. Girl, there's a barbecue. We go to the park. It wasn't just at their house. We go to the barbecue. It'll be a park, girl. We get introduced to a long lost cousin and his baby mama, whatever. So food has always been a healing. It's always been something that brought people together. And that's a multicultural thing. That's it's every culture, every way, girl. We come together, we celebrate with food. And so either way, that is what creates the healing. And like I said, starting with self, a lot of people are out here thinking that they're going to create some type of healing fear, some type of field, some type of healing journey. And like I said, the lineage is fucked up. The patterns, the behaviors, these have been passed down. People will exchange eating fruits and vegetables. I mean, girl, listen, I heard it all, y'all. But what kind of disturbed my spirit as well is when I found out people were putting sugar in their greens. I was just thinking to myself, like, what's the point of eating the fucking greens? You're going to put sugar in it. If you don't want to eat the vegetable, if you don't want to consume the vegetable for whatever reason, girl, don't eat it. Don't eat the collard greens with sugar in it. Girl, you don't want to eat the collard greens? Girl, eat just some candy yams. If you don't want to eat the greens and the squash and you got to put sugar and shit on it and fuck all that shit up, oh, girl, that shit irritates the hell out of me. I don't give a fuck, y'all. Respectfully and disrespectfully. Sugar in the greens? Like I said, if you don't want to eat the greens, don't eat the greens, babe. Anyway, a lot of people think eating greens anyway is really healthy. You got to eat the liquid. When the greens is cooked and the kale is cooked, you have to consume the fluid that it was cooked in to get the full benefits of it. You done cooked out all of the vegetables, all the nutrients, minerals and nutrients of the plant anyway when you let it cook for hours and 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 hours anyway. So it's like at the end of the day, we have to get it right. We have to get it right. We did not know better, right? Jesus said, ask God to forgive the people that were murdering him. And he said, forgive them, Father, they do not know what they're doing, right? And so our ancestors or the people between, let's say 300 years and let's say even those who were like our grandparents and our parents, they didn't know better. So they thought, I got to cook this down. We're going to consume this. A lot of them didn't know better. Right. And this is what a lot of practices, I use that as an example. But with a lot of practices, they didn't know any better. And so now we have the opportunity to know better because a lot of them are on the other side. So they're giving us spiritual downloads. They're giving us spiritual insight on things. We're having the tools that we need to progress. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they're not. They're going to stay where they're at. And that's why a lot of people, they find it, disrespectful or whatever they think about me when I say what I say about a particular group of people in America that just can't seem to get it right. They feel like I'm hating and I'm bashing and all this good shit. But I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me because we're supposed to be the most inclined, spiritually inclined, intelligent, intellectual beings. But yeah, everybody else is getting the shit right while we sit back watching them get it right. And so that's where it doesn't make sense for me. And like I said, going into the ancestor veneration and the stuff I've seen where people are like, yeah, burn ancestor money and I got a new car and stuff. And it's just like, girl, what? You sure it wasn't just your intentions that got that? Because I doubt that if Big Mama died, and this is where the truth really gets in, if Big Mama died from, let's say, congestive heart failure, Big Mama died from a heart attack, Big Mama died from high blood pressure, there's something with the heart there. There's something with the metaphysical heart, something with not feeling love, something with feeling abandoned, something with feeling disrespected, something with not feeling completely accepted. So this is what Big Mama died from, or mama died from, or sister died from. That is something that you want to work on. That is something you want to call out. That is something you want to have a conversation about in the spiritual realm. This is, like I said, going into memorial services and stuff. Like, yes, as we remember them, but we also light these candles to release their energy. So when we're there and we're talking about them, or we light a white candle, we light a pink candle, we light an orange candle, we light a purple candle, and we're discussing, I remember when sister used to blah, blah, blah. I remember when mama used to blah, blah, blah. We're healing them as we're also healing ourselves. Because there's definitely a healing in the tears. There's definitely a healing in the conversations. And so, like I said, that's how we did. That's how we venerated. That's how we connected with our ancestors who passed on, who was in between the physical and the spiritual, that brought us blessings and also curses. And a lot of people want to get it twisted and get it fucked up, where they're like, don't be calling on just any ancestor. And I always talk about this, y'all. But I gotta talk about it. I always say this. Don't be talking about just any ancestor because you don't know that's the ancestor gonna come and fuck you up. That's why you do ancestor work, though. You're not doing ancestor work because you knew all these people. Like, come on now, girl. I have aunties, first, like my mama's sisters and shit that I've never met in my life. If I'm doing a veneration for them, how would I know what their energy is like? I mean, my mom could say, yeah, she was the nicest woman, but because I am who I am, what happened if that auntie really didn't like me like that, or didn't care about, or hell, really didn't even like my mama? But that's how we build up a relationship. We venerate to build a relationship. We venerate to show them that we're going to carry on that torch for them, that we are the living, breathing essence of who they are, because we share the same DNA. And even if they're not a biological relative, you share the same spiritual DNA. And that too is just as important as the physical. So don't get it twisted that burning Josh paper. And like I said, I always said, twinspirit@gmail.com. If any nah bitch, nah hoe, any spiritualist, any mighty mo, wizard, warlock, black, white, Christian, Jew, man, with that you want to have a conversation, we can get into text, we get into resources. Can we get into it? And we get into a long history of how Joss, why it was used, and why it's probably not just as effective as, no, not why it's not, maybe not just as, no, why it's not as effective, or why it's not more effective than just sitting down and talking to your ancestor. See, like I said, we gotta get out the bullshit. We got to get rid of the lies. We got to get rid of the scams. We got to get rid of these people that are making this shit up just so you can spend some money with them. Girl, sit down and talk to your ancestors. Boys, sit down and talk to your ancestors, girl. Even if I don't know where to go, I don't know how to get started. Girl, start by when you're driving in your car. And, you know, I really didn't care about my dad. He was a bastard. I'm glad he died. When I was a kid, he really didn't give a fuck about me anyway. So I'm glad he gone, and I hope that motherfucker's rotting in hell now. See that right there? Start with that. You know what? I forgive myself. I forgive myself for holding any type of grudge against my father. I forgive myself for, cussing myself out, because in essence, that's what you're really doing. I forgive my father for not giving me the attention, not giving me the love, not giving me the support I needed as the child. Just simple conversations like that. And then you start getting more direct. And this is a good starting point, right? To start to see some type of change. But like I said, ancestor money, y'all, these are tools. These are fun things. Girl, people got creative with the magic, and that's where it's, oh, get you some ancestor money. They had Madam CJ Walker on it and shit. I think I see some ancestor money with by setting them on it. And I'm just like, girl, that shit is not gonna work if you are not talking directly with your ancestors, and if you're not really getting in on what you need to get in on. And like I said, the debt that they owed when they left here to go to the other side was the spiritual debt. And that's the heartbreak. That's the lies. That's the secrets. So to release them, you have to have the conversation with them about this. You got to say, mama, now, before, you left, I remember you used to blah, 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 whatever. You got to have a real conversation. And that's where you start to heal them. And then they could be the support you need over here. But like I said, the idea that burning Josh paper, the idea that burning ancestor money is going to give them money to, like, girl, what are they spending this money on? Money is not old. There's no money in the afterlife, girl. What do they need that money for? Come on now, think about it. Now, of course, certain belief systems believed in burying their deceased ones with money because they thought they were coming back. We talked about that before. They really thought they were coming back. That the secondary information was they thought that they would take these things with them in an afterlife. No, baby, they thought they were coming back. So this is why things were buried with people. This is why things were put away for people, stored away for people. And like I say, even going into the symbolism behind it. The issue is not that they don't got money on the other side to buy the food they need and the house they need, also to get you on the other side. That's not what the purpose is. Like I said, your whole purpose of venerating them so they can help you is that you want them to be the best person they possibly can be. And like I said, I started my healing journey after ancestor veneration. I started my healing journey after I really started getting into ancestor veneration. I started getting my information on what I needed to do to better heal myself, to heal the generations after me, and even those that are still here. And I applied the information to people I love and know and say, hey, you might want to get your vitamins up. You might want to start drinking more water. Hey, you might want to stop back, step back on the alcohol. You might want to step back on the cigarettes because that should dehydrate you. Like, that's where I got my information from. I didn't go to school to be a doctor. I went to school to be a nurse. I have medical background on that type of stuff, but I did not get a master's or doctorate degree when it comes to science and medicine and all that. That information came to me from my ancestors. Because like I said, I wanted to know what I could do so I could live past 60, past 70, past 80. Because like I said, going into having conversations with relatives that are living and dead, when they were in their 30s, girl, they didn't have energy like I got motherfucking energy. They got their energy from weed, they got their energy from alcohol, and they got their energy from other substances. So when you know better, you do better. So like I said, that's where I got mine from. I was like, ooh, I don't want to do all those things to get energy. I don't want to have to drink to be happy. I don't want to have to smoke to feel calm. I don't want to have social events with people where I have to put toxins in my body for that moment and not realize that it's going to come back and bite me. That's not what I wanted. So I was like, what can I do? And in the essence, I also healed my ancestors. Because they got released from whatever type of, lockdown they had, to where people are like, I had a dream about my auntie. I haven't had a dream about her in a long time. Or I had a dream about my dad. And I don't know why I had to dream about him. And it's like, girl. And of course, I'm not going to say, hey, it's because I'm doing ancestor veneration. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I was talking to him the other day. Girl, But those are signs to me where I'm like, I know what I'm doing is working. And I know what I'm doing is effective. I know what I'm doing is right. But like I said, burning ancestor money alone, girl, that is not going to allow your ancestors to help you in the physical world. Because when they died, they were still heartbroken. When they died, they were sick in the body, which means they were sick in the mind, which means they were sick in the spirit, which means they were sick in the emotion. Can we talk about it? And Josh paper does not solve that. Money over here does not solve that. People have millions of dollars and still get diagnosed with cancer. People are billionaires and still got to die. You think that that solves your problems? It doesn't. So the same thing with your ancestors. That is energy. Energy attracts energy. And the energy that you're trying to apply in your life, the energies around you got to also represent that. So, like I said, ask yourself that question: what can I do to help my ancestors on the other side? Because when you help them, they help you. What can I do to help my ancestors on the other side? What can I do? And God forbid, and we talk about this, and like I said, I had a conversation with one of my clients the other day, and of course, I was having a conversation with my sister about this earlier today. One of my sisters about this earlier today. Like people dying, and let's say it's a tragic death. A tragic death where they were, you know, taken out. You think that when they go to the other side, they find peace with that. They say, oh my God, I am so glad I escaped that. No, honey, like how they go is how the energy is when they go to the other side. So this whole idea of they've gone and we're going to give them more grief and more, energy on the other side to make them, feel weighed down to where they don't find the light, they don't go and they don't flourish. It's crazy to me. So that's why we celebrate their life during their funeral. That's why we celebrate their life, and during their memories, or when we have a memorial service for them, we talk about the good. And like I said, there are issues, and it's like, oh my God, but I remember he really whooped my ass, and I'm still mad about that. Or I'm mad that he died and he owed me money. I'm never going to get my money back. This is where the conversation is coming out. And to release that. Because you want them to go, you want them to flourish, you want them to be the best they possibly can be so they can help you be the best you possibly can be. And like I said, that's how my healing journey started, because I was thinking about myself, like, what can I do to be a better person to myself, most importantly? And then going into my, my babies, my animals who did not ask to be here. And then I'm like, but I need to also be the best daughter I can be, the best friend I could best be, the best sister I could probably be, the best auntie I possibly be. And how can I be that if I'm stuck in my own ways? If I'm stuck in, oh, I hate myself. Oh, I hate my life. Oh, I don't like her. Like, girl. So I said I had to heal myself. I had to get myself together emotionally, physically, and mentally so that I could be of best services to my people. And that's how the ancestors operate. It's not, like I said, it's not about Josh paper, you putting together an altar and stuff for them. Are you really connecting with them? Are you really having a conversation? Something was shared with me, and y'all, and this kind of like blew my mind. It's so crazy how everything just, connect. But I knew a spiritual person, and I don't want to get too deep into what this is, because of course I don't like to tell people stories or business because they don't give me the business or permission to say it, and I'm like, I don't want to go into depth with things, and they say, oh girl, you kind of said too much or whatever, or maybe might stir up something within them. But I, was going to do this ancestor conversation yesterday, y'all. And then today I have a conversation with someone, and they're talking about their partner who passed on. And they were saying like the 2 months before their passing, the partner asked them, like, how could they and I connect to our ancestors, but they can't. Like, we're connected to our ancestors, and they're trying to connect with their mother, and they cannot. And the crazy thing about it, and it gave me chills. And even right now, still talking about it now is giving me chills again, because this was the same person that died at the same age that their mother died at. And they were stuck on y'all from like when they were 40 years old for 20 years, y'all. They were saying, at this age, I'm going to go. And they just really willed it. They willed it into existence. They made that manifest. And so the 2 months prior, like I said, they knew they were going, and they felt isolated. And like I was telling, this person that was the feeling they had their whole life, because what took them out, it has something to do with the heart. And metaphysically, when it has something to do with the heart, that's broken heart. That's a broken heart syndrome. And a broken heart is not a lover. A broken heart is not a friendship. It starts first with your parents. That's a broken heart. The real broken heart, the first broken heart, the most powerful broken heart is your mother or father abandoning you, disrespecting you, and not fully accepting you. Fuck a man, fuck a woman, fuck a friend, in all honesty. They didn't give you life. They can't take your life. They have no essence over you. That right there is the hardest thing. That right there is like I said, the ultimate heartbreak. So this person felt isolated. This person did not feel fully accepted. This person hid their lifestyle majority of their life. They never had a conversation to their parents about who they were. They had to live their life. They had a double life. And it even brought on confusion within themselves where they didn't know what they were, who they were, and all this good stuff. So all this stuff manifested. And y'all, this is not a fairy tale. This is not a made up idea. This is not something that just, I concocted and pulled out, out of my ass or speaking outside of my neck. Your physical ailments start in the emotional and the mental body. Your thoughts create things. Your things that you become emotionally attached to create more things. And there's a good relationship with it, it creates good things from that. If it is a bad relationship with it, it creates bad things from that. So trust me when I tell you right now, 50-year-olds, 6 years old, even girl, they said that there's 20-year-olds right now, y'all having heart attacks and having heart failure. It's not ironic that these teenagers are having this after they lose somebody close to them. It's not ironic that they get this after they found out that their best friend in the world, like their grandfather, their father passed away. That's not you can't say that's an odd situation. You can't say that, oh my God, what a coincidence. No, that's what caused it. They lost a major part of themselves and they felt like nothing else would make them feel whole and complete. And especially if this person was young and they have older siblings and they have their own father. I'm talking about something, but I'm not saying something. And then that man was their actual father and they saw how their older siblings didn't have a relationship with their father. So they were like, no, I need to have a relationship with my dad. And then here they go. They living out their fear when they find out their dad passed away when they're young. So like I said, all of your elements, y'all, it starts with the physical, it starts with the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional. And then it comes into the physical. And so it's a very sad situation. It's very deep and uncomfortable, honestly, to talk about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. But even going into having good health, people think good health is only eating right. And I remember back then people say, how did this person die of a heart attack, but they were so healthy? And it's like, well, they ate good, but the emotional body was still fucked up. They still felt alone. They still felt like they were by themselves. They still didn't feel unconditional love. They still didn't feel respected. So regardless of how healthy you're eating, if the heart ain't feeling safe, if the heart ain't feeling whole, if the heart ain't feeling respected, girl, it's fucking up. It's going out. It's going out, babe. You're still going to develop heart disease, even though you're eating heart healthy food. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? And so that's what it comes down to. We have to get our mind right. We have to get our emotions right. We got to get other things right. So that way we can rejoice. And then when it's time to go to the other side, regardless of what that is, how that is for you, you can fully live up to your true potential. You're not sitting here thinking, oh my God. And I shared this with y'all as well. Going into it with my sister, my sister passed away, her first 2 weeks of her being passed, leaving, transitioning, I had this feeling of, she was ready to go, but I had this feeling of like being afraid, being alone, right? And she felt like she was confused, like, where am I at? Help me, help me, help me. And so when I started doing my energetic work and I was burning my candles for her, it was to release that energy and it was to also give her. It was to give her some type of comfort. And that's when I knew, y'all, and I shared this even in the ancestor veneration classes, where people are like, when you die, your ancestors they're right there waiting for you to cross over. When my sister passed away, I found out that's not true. If you passed away and in your death you were shocked by your death, you came out your body too fast. You're not able to elevate and connect with your ancestors like that immediately. You're stuck in some type of zone. You're stuck in something called limbo. And our job in the living is to help them be released. It's to help them connect, reconnect. And that's why even when you watch, TV shows where somebody, was connected to the deceased one, they would say, hey, and I'm over here with Big Daddy, or I'm over here with Grandma Kitty. And they're like, why is she saying that? And of course, the psychic is saying, why is she saying that? And the lady said, oh, she made it to the other side. And people are panicking. But it's not that you're panicking, or it's not that you should be worried about them going to hell or them going to heaven. Because, bitch, at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. Your perception is your perception. Your experience is going to be your experience. What it is that you're dying incomplete. And when you're dying incomplete, like I said, you're stuck in that. The Bible even speaks about when Jesus died, Jesus went to hell first. And then Jesus rose up and went into heaven. Can we talk about it? And so we talk about that even going into the ancestor. When you pass away, you go into a deep, dark slumber. Especially, like I said, if you died and you died with anger in you, you died with jealousy in your heart, you died of confused, you died being, what's going on? You die with that type of stuff, that energy go with you on the other side. And that's where you stay until where either you release yourself or somebody over here help you to release that. And like I said, that's why I get into ancestor veneration. That's why I teach people how to connect with their ancestors and help release that, because it's for them, but it's also for you, because you also have an emotional tie to them. You also have a mental tie to them. You also have a blood tie to them. And so when they're healed and they're released, you also become healed and you become released. And even going into the physical, you have living people. When you start working on your healing journey, these people start to see that energy within you. And they're like, I want to do what you're doing. I told y'all, honey, 2 years after my sister died, I had relatives. I even had uncles and great uncles and stuff, y'all, that we never had a conversation. I don't get on Facebook. I don't talk about my lifestyle. I don't talk about how I eat, how I die. And they were asking me, what do you do for your health? And I'm like, bitch, where the hell they get this at? And I was that's wrong. Are you talking to them? And she's like, no. And in my mind, I'm like, this is a spiritual thing. This has to be an ancestor linking up and telling them to reach out and look for me. Because like I said, when I first, relocated, I started getting into juicing and getting my cells right and fasting, let my old cells die out and to be flushed out my body. They called it, what is it called? Autophagy. I think it's called autophagy. Yes, autophagy. Anyway. And y'all was literally making, a juice for me. It was like, they call it vampiro, right? It's, beets, carrots, all these reds, deep, dark colored fruit and vegetables. And it's like a purple reddish drink. And either way, y'all, just out the blue, a cousin who had leukemia was all like, I remember back in the day, you used to talk about collagen and used to talk about, detoxing and drinking lemon water. I remember every time we went somewhere, you put lemon in your water. And it's like, I want to know, do you have something like a juice or something, a recipe on a juice to help me flush out my blood and keep my blood nice and pure? And this is around the same time, like I said, y'all, I start making this juice. So it's like that healing that you're doing for yourself, it's not just for yourself, it's for your ancestors. It's not just for yourself, it's for your bloodline, those who are living as well. And so, like I said, I don't do it. I don't do it for them. I do it for myself. But just so happen because we're connected, it also affects them. And so, either way, that's really what I came by here, to drop y'all with. Y'all don't get caught up in these fake ass people that are trying to make a sale, telling you that you got to get this ancestor money and oh, this is going to help your ancestors supply them with their needs on the other side so they can help you with your needs. Bitch, fuck the dumb shit and stop motherfucking lying. Honey, helping your ancestors heal with the fact that your grandmama had 9 kids by 9 men and showing herself why these 9 men wasn't in the lives of her 9 kids. Like, let's start with that healing process. That Big Mama came from a life of abuse, that she was, sexually assaulted, whatever. Let's start with that too. Like, girl, fuck the Josh paper. Let's talk with that conversation. Honey, what can I do? What type of food did Big Mama have? What food made Big Mama feel comfortable? What food made Big Mama always went to? You know, what food Nana ate? Nana ate this food. Let me offer this to her. And I know this is healing for her because she don't need to consume this food. She don't need this food in the physical body. Her body ain't gonna shut down because she can't eat. But energetically, I want this food to bring something to her. So while we're having this discussion, I'm speaking to her while I'm also sharing the food with her. Big Mama, you need to heal. Big Mama, you need to let go of that. And like I said, I even told y'all too, going into, the answer of me having a conversation with my mom and stuff. Someone's like, you need to really, sit down with your mom, really have a conversation with your mom. I'm like, girl, I always talk to my mom. But they were like, no, you need to really have a conversation, girl. We had conversations. I visited my grandma's younger brother who died at 15 months. We went to his grave site, girl. My mom never been there. I never been there. We went there, y'all. That was a very emotional, releasing thing. And it's crazy to even think about it, y'all. But it was very releasing. And then even going into my mom telling me stories about things that she been through, my grandmother been through. I know that there was a reason for that because I didn't ask for that information. I didn't say, Mama, tell me what this was like and what you did and all this stuff. She just started telling me. And I was heavily doing cleansing work. I was heavily doing healing work because I knew that the trauma, I knew that the anxiety, I knew the things I was feeling, y'all. And I keep telling y'all, my anxiety is 98% healed, y'all. I had anxiety my whole life. That is a hereditary thing. You get anxiety within the womb, and it's passed down from your parents. I was anxious for a very long time. I used to bite my nails. I used to do very odd things because I was anxious. I never tried drugs though. But through the ancestor veneration, through the healing and releasing, y'all, and getting told stories, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna add this into my work. Because I know this is something that this is why my grandmother would act like she was shy. And then also she was very direct. Like I tell y'all, my grandma would tell y'all, girl, my nana would tell y'all how it is. When I tell you, like, girl, random people in public, girl, you be at a grocery store and you're about to have to fight because she'll be like, oh, girl, you stink. Or, oh, honey, I don't know why you came out looking like that, but that hair needs to be combed. You're a black woman. Yeah, you need to be combing that hair. Girl, like my grandma had a mouth on her. And don't say something to offend her or don't ask nothing stupid. Because a lot of times she won't even say shit. She'll just stop and look at you, and it was like a stank face. Her nose will go up, the eye would go big, and she'd be like, ugh, like, bitch, excuse me? How dare you? So it was like, oh, girl, we got kicked out of places. Girl, we got kicked out of stores, places she shopped at her whole life. Girl, we got kicked out of because she had a mouth on her. So, like I said, I knew that there was something with that though. She had a shy side, but she had a very, out boisterous, protector. And my grandma was like 5 feet tall, y'all. But she would act like she was 7 feet tall. But she would talk a lot of mess, honey. And she'll let you know too, I ain't afraid of you. Because we were all taller than her. So when she would, chastise us, my older cousin would like stand up over her and shit. And she's like, baby, I'll knock you the fuck out. You think you're bigger than me and I'm gonna be scared of you? Try me. Run up and get I remember she knocked out, y'all, out of self-defense. She knocked out one of my cousin's tooth, and his teeth, he still don't have a tooth there. That tooth got knocked the fuck out, and it ain't coming back, girl. He stood up. He asked her for her van keys. She told him, no, because she don't got no license. And he said, all right, he let it go. Y'all, she went to bed. She was asleep with her purse in her bra and her keys in her bra. Girl, she woke up to him trying to take those keys out. So she felt sexually violated, which she was because he touched her and he shouldn't have touched her. And so he got up and tried to tower over her. And she got up and she said, now, I could knock your ass out right now and then call the police after I do it because you just touched me. And that's a sexual assault. But she said, but the fact that you think you're about to use my motherfucking car, oh, baby, over my dead body. And I don't know if she said over dead body triggered him, but that's when he pushed her. And baby, I've never seen this, honey. It's like my grandma grew from 5 foot to like 7 feet tall. She had something on the other side of that couch, took that thing and slung it right in his motherfucking face. Boop! He's grabbing his mouth. She was like, let me call the police. Got on that phone, called the police, girl. Of course, they knew her by her name, girl, because she was in Stockton, girl, most of her fucking life. Girl, the police come over there and they're like, hi, what's going on? And she said, well, I was sleeping. And this motherfucker right here, Because she likes saying motherfucking son of a bitch. And then she changed it to SOB because some people say, Mama, you don't got it. You know, I had aunties, girl, they were so bougie and shit, girl, telling my grandma not to cuss and shit no more. Like, Mama, you be cussing, that's so disrespectful. Like, girl, how you gonna tell your mama it's disrespectful that she cussing? She grown. Let her curse, bitch. So she would say SOB. But during this time, she was still cussing. And she said, this son of a bitch, uh, went into my shirt while I was sleeping to get my car key. And they were like, oh, really? Oh, yeah. And then what I did was I stood up. He got even closer. And I took this thing here. And she showed him. It was a handle of the recliner chair, y'all. She broke that handle off and slapped him inside the motherfucking face. And she said, this thing right here, this is what I hit him with. And she said, y'all gonna take me down to jail? Or what y'all gonna do? Because and then of course we all out there waiting, girl, because some of us were of age. I was not. I think I was in the sixth grade when this happened. But girl, she said, yeah, let me know, honey, because they'll come out and bail me out. And I'm like, no, we're not going to take you to jail, but we're going to take him to jail. And they took him to jail. And that's the first time he went to jail, bitch. And then the second time, he actually stole the car and went to jail. And then the third time, he lied and said he was another cousin's name and girl got locked up and then tried to, that motherfucking cousin, girl, that motherfucker right there, girl, I can't stand that motherfucker. I still can't stand that motherfucker, girl. He boiled my motherfucking blood every time I think about that bastard. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. And he lucky. No, let me not. Let me get out of that. But anyway, that's it, y'all. That's it, y'all. Honey, heal your ancestors. Help your ancestors so they can help you. Okay? Get out the commercialized witchcraft if I need to burn the Josh paper or they're not going to help me. Baby, close your eyes and shut your mouth and open your ears. That's what you do. Close your eyes, shut your mouth, and open your ears. Those are the three best advice I'll give you. What is advice? What is a great advice for me to connect with my ancestors? Sit down and shut the fuck up and open your ears. Because, baby, hello? Okay, because what? Right. Okay. Let me see up in there. Come on, Larry. How you doing, Larry? Yes, hope you're well, Larry. Yes, come on. We are great, Larry. We are great. We are great. Come on, Sheba. How you doing? How you doing? Yes, honey. We're great. We're great. We're great, honey. Listen, go on. Hold on. Girl, your nose gets so clogged, honey. And I want to say that to y'all. I used to be ashamed of being emotional, but I'm not. That's just, I'm a crier, honey. That's a part of my tea, girl. Energy hit me. That's the only thing I can say. Energy hit me, and it gets me, girl. I don't intend to be emotional, especially publicly, honey. I like doing all my shit behind the scenes, girl. I like to cuss out people. I like to fuck. Yeah, honey, I like to get mad behind the scenes, girl. If I ever yell at you or get upset with you to your face, that means that you really pissed me off, honey. But outside of that, girl, I like to be behind the scenes and say, Spirit, why the fuck did this bitch try me? This bitch really tried me. And then I start getting loud and shit. That's how I let go of my steam, honey. Or I write it out. Sometimes, girl, I brought mechanical pens, which, by the way, I don't buy no more because I broke them. Girl, I used to buy a pack a week. I broke them all. Girl, sitting there writing shit out and you just start getting irritated while you're writing shit out. I can't believe this bitch did it. And this bitch had the audacity to call my motherfucking phone and tell me about, and then got on Facebook and messaged me and said, what? Like, bitch, you don't even know me, bitch. And I can't believe. And then she had the audacity. And girl, before you know it, girl, the whole damn pen is broke. Because I'm like, because of course I can call her or he and let him have it or go see them. But we know, girl, what's that's going to solve? I'm approaching them nice. They're going to say, well, bitch, you in my face. What's up? And then, girl, they think they're going to, and then, girl, that's going to turn into some problems. And then I'm more than likely going to go to jail because I showed up to them. So it's like, girl, let me write a letter. Let me let it out. And then I'm going to still, I don't feel relieved. Let me call them. Hey, I just want to have a conversation with you. Sure, what you want to talk about? Well, the other day, I don't like how you were talking about, me. And you didn't say it directly, but I know you were talking about it because nobody else was talking about anything like that. And then there we go. Then sometimes, they want to get loud and shit at that point. Bye. Sometimes, they end, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And it's like, thank you. So it's like, ooh, girl, that could have ended a whole nother way. If I would have showed up to their house, I would have caught that phone when I was in that feeling. Let me tell your motherfucking ass something. We get into a reading session. Yo, bald headed, oompa loompa, bald the builder ass bitch, looking like Igor from Winnie the Pooh. Oh, girl, we'll get into a real good read, honey, a real good read. Then of course you know what they're gonna say, girl. People either gonna pull the race. They pull the race, the gender, or sexual orientation read, girl. That's the first reason they pull. See, I don't go for that first. When I read somebody, I don't go for that, girl. I go by the least thing that you think I'm seeing, honey. You don't think I see that you got a scar on the side of your face. So I'll call you Scarface, bitch. Hello? Ooh. Get ready for bed. Good night, Larry. Yes, honey. Later, Gator. Listen, y'all. Let me take my ass up off here. Ooh. That was good letting that out, y'all. I was supposed to do this video yesterday, telling y'all about this ancestral veneration. And of course, we say venerate and not worship because, of course, veneration is more of a spiritual connection versus a religious thing. But yes, honey, I want to see more people. I want to see more, and I really mean this before I go. I want to see more so-called Black people and African culture-loving people share more of African practices, more of African spiritual practices. I don't want to see the European way. I don't want to see the Asian way. Like I said, going into Hindu visuals and you do work with Kali Ma and stuff. Girl, if you don't eat Indian food, if you don't eat Indian, you don't see Indian people, you never had sex with an Indian man, an Indian woman, you never been to a temple, girl, you never got invited to their house. Like, girl, I'm going to need you to give that up. I mean, and even deeper, if you've never been to Africa, you never dated an African man, girl, I'm gonna need you to get off the African traditional shit, girl. Because a lot of y'all be talking about he say, she say shit. Like, I know this to be fat. That's weird because the Africans don't know that to be fat. Oh, why don't the Hindustanis, the real ones, why don't they know the same thing you're talking about right now? It sounds like you got it from the Europeans, honey. That watered down shit. Can we talk about it? Okay. So there we go. That's it. Love and light, twospiritmystic.blogspot.com. That's 28spiritedmysticate at gmail.com. Bye for now.